Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxon. Along with me is the bodacious beast of the blizzard, Bethany McChesney. There's another B in there too, Bethany. But anyway, um, yeah. How you doing? Are you
Uh, what's that?
snowed in?
Yeah, this weekend was awful, and we're in the super, super cold front right now. And the heater's not really working well in my gym. It conks out at night, so for some reason, this morning I went in and like I couldn't even hold the dumbbells; they were so cold.
Ooh.
It was 47. It was 47 Fahrenheit, so not totally freezing, but yeah, it was minus 26 degrees Celsius, so minus 14 Fahrenheit when I went into the gym this morning outside.
So my Saturday. So all this happened Friday night. Right? Got back from work Friday. It was all good. It hadn't happened. Got back and you could see it coming down Friday night. And so we had to go to the gym to teach classes Saturday morning. And then I had I had a busy day all out because I had to do that. And that was, like 40 minutes one way. And then I had to come back home and then leave from here and go like another hour and 15 minutes to pick up my cousin because it's his birthday and we're going to a Owen Sound Attack hockey game. That's another 20 minutes from there. And so I get up early and shovel the driveway. It was wet, heavy slush snow and a lot of it. So it took longer than I thought. We got down there and did our classes and we did some uh, we've been having people come in and do run throughs. They pay a little bit and we do a run through with them and they do a full sim essentially. It's been actually really good. It's been a lot of fun. Um, and some people have got some good sim times going, but went a little longer than I expected. And then we had to come back and I get back and the plow had gone by and and it's not the plow driver's fault, but it didn't just leave a little bit of snow at the end of the driveway. These were giant ice boulders. And I'm like, I don't even know how to break those up. Like I don't have a big steel pole or anything. And so I was like picking them up and carrying them off. So I'd like break them off and pick them up. And some of them were like 80 pounds and I'm carrying them. And then I had to drive north and then it all got snowier and worse and terrible. And it was a snowy weekend. Winter finally hit.
Yeah.
And then today I drive to work and they have nothing. There's no snow on the ground at all.
Really?
Yeah, like so where I work at the refinery is right on the lake. And so Mississauga, right on the lake, no snow, nothing. I was like, this is insane.
Wow, we got so much snow.
Yeah, yeah, we got hammer too, but it's pretty now, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, my run yesterday morning was pretty miserable though.
oh, you
It's
went out
like,
with it?
of course I did. It's Sunday morning. It's just what
Mhm.
I did. Um, yeah, and it's not even so much the cold, it was the sideways wind that makes it really awful. Um, Yeah. So I can enjoy it for a little bit, and then you just hit a point where it's like, okay, that's enough. Like my eyelashes are freezing together, and everything is just starting to get really cold, and it just gets uncomfortable. And your body hurts in a different way, like all the sliding around and stuff.
We had that one time. I can't remember if it was, well, twice for the 2020 virtual contests, whatever ones it was, they all run together.
Yeah.
I think there was a 1K time trial or something along that lines. And I had that, and it's just the one side of my face just
3K
froze
time trial
solid.
that we did in a blizzard.
The what one?
A 3K time trial in a blizzard.
Yep, there was that one too. There was two of them because the one I did the 3K around my block, and then the other one I went out and I found a straight line where I could do it.
Mm.
And yeah, I had Rye ahead of me in the car trying to break some of the wind. It was just terrible. It was terrible.
Mhm.
But yeah, so let's still we're gonna have a short talk today because we do have an interview coming up, and you know what? Not a ton is happening anyway. But some things that we want to talk about. Coming up soon, High Rocks will be having the doubles, which it always had and is High Rocks' biggest most popular thing. But they're going from the open weights to now having pro weights for like men's and women's. So the women's will be doing the pro weights instead of the women's open weights. and the men's pro will be doing the men's pro weights. Um, I don't know why this didn't happen in the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I any reason? I guess maybe still to try to place people in. And the other thing I don't know, and maybe you have heard, are they still going to have, like, for example, the open weights doubles too, or is it just the pro weights?
From my understanding, it's just the pro weights now from now on, because that's what the guys were saying about their records. So it will be held forever because it's the last time it will be with those weights.
I apologize to Colin Stiefer and is it Taylor Haney because their record's a sitting duck now.
Hmm.
And I guess what is it, Hunter and who's he got going with him this time? Hunter has a problem holding on to partners by the sounds of it. It's like a
Enough?
different guy every time.
Yeah.
So this time it's Sandback, Sandbach, Sandbatch, sorry, Sandbatch.
Mhm.
They're taking a stab at it. I'm assuming in Manchester, which is I think the next one in England. And I think Hunter's individual time is now faster than what the doubles time is. So I don't like the odds of the record standing.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's overdue. I think it should have been like that in the beginning. I don't know. It just seems logical to me. If you got two people doing the work, keep the heavy weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't you think the record should be different though?
Oh, well, what do you mean?
Well, like instead of just the doubles record, one is with open weights and
Yeah,
one is with like have two separate categories.
I think so. I assume they're going to keep it that because they currently have a record with the pro weight. So I think they'll keep it. They'll hold on to it because maybe they'll one day introduce an open weight division. Maybe one day they'll do a whole doubles event.
Hmm.
And you'll know you have the open and the pro weights, which is fine. The other, and this is the thing, I don't think we've ever talked about this, but this has been something that's gone on for a while, and it's one of those rules with High Rocks that has just baffled my mind. You can qualify for Worlds doing open weights, and then when you go to Worlds, you don't race with open weights, you race with pro weights. And I don't understand that in the least.
No.
And I have asked, I've made comments on posts, very polite comments, because I'm always very careful to be really polite with my comments to, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just looking for why.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get it. Never got the why.
Very different.
It's not even the same race.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it before, right? We've said they should have a High Rocks power and a High Rocks speed and cool and don't call it the open division, make it seem less. Give it a cool name, make it seem more, just two different races. But this just doesn't make sense. Because I mean, and I'll use you for an example. You go and do the open weights, you're gonna seem way better
Yeah.
than if you do the pro,
Yeah.
right? Now I'm assuming you can't get in the Elite 15 that way. I'm
Yeah, no.
assuming this is only for age group categories, essentially, which is everybody that's not the Elite 15.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So I could race an open race in and qualify in my age group for Worlds, but all of Worlds is pro weights.
Yes,
Hmm.
I defy you to find a logic.
Yeah, that's a very different race.
Well, I mean, the logic to me is it's less weight changing and ergo cheaper and easier to put on the race. But that it just doesn't make any sense.
It's not really that like so the sleds you have to take on enough plates, but I mean, so you have to bring more kettlebells, sandbags, wall balls, like s I don't know if it's is it that dramatic? Of like it's not like you have to exchange weights at sandbags and kettlebells or wall balls. The only thing you really have to change is the sleds.
Well, no, kettlebells and everything, they're all different.
No, but I mean, they're just there. Like
Yeah,
it's more work once you have the stuff there.
yeah, once you have it there, but transportation wise, you got to bring all of it, and it is more work. And then I don't know. I mean, I can't defend it in any way, but
That can't be why. They bring it all that stuff everywhere.
it's got to be a timing issue. Maybe they just feel they don't have enough time to do it all.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. By the way, if you're in Canada and you're hearing a lot of High Rocks rumors, so are we, and moving right along. I mean, yeah, there's lots of rumors, lots of stuff going on. We that's where we're at right now. I would say the best thing is be patient. Like,
Keep some open space in your calendar, maybe.
keep open space. Yeah, be flexible in your calendar and be patient. That's what we're gonna leave it at. Hopefully, there's some good things coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then the other thing we wanted to talk about, just briefly, and this is another thing that is kind of not quite there, but we did, if you were watching Instagram this weekend, you may have seen, can't remember, I think it might have been 4 to 2. I can't remember what gym had hosted a Deka mile this weekend. And off the top, you were seeing the lunges and you were seeing a line on the ground and then the Rams in front and stuff like that. And they said, the video said this is a rule change. Now, we haven't heard officially that this is a rule change. This is not official as far as we're concerned. It's not been confirmed, so we can neither confirm nor deny. But it had the line on the ground and the lunges, you had to have both feet in front of the line before your next rep started. Good idea that somebody may have had and said many times. Can't quite pin it. I'm really arrogant about this stuff, but that's okay. You know, I don't even know if it'll work. It looked like it worked okay. It doesn't solve the problem of extension, but maybe they're not concerned about that. And again, maybe this is not Deca's rule yet, but it does stop the switch lunge. So not the
Mhm.
jumping lunge, but it stops the switch lunge, which I think to me is livable.
Yeah.
You know, I think full extension on the lunge is too hard to judge anyway at that kind of pace.
Yeah, it is. I did really like because I saw the video, the rectangles taped off in front. Because one of the issues too that we have with all of the ram movements, the two ram movements is people throwing the rams. And so I'm assuming that at this event they had to put the ram back in the rectangle, which would again eliminate that throwing of the rams. These rams bounce too. So I think everybody at some point, especially if you were at Worlds, got hit by a flying bouncing ram at some point.
And I think a lot of us are guilty of it ourselves. I was guilty of it. I know in my strong, when I finished, I did the over the head thing. And I didn't throw it, I just dropped it behind my head
Hmm.
and it nearly did the Miriam Von Rohr thing and nearly took my shoe off. But I was like 10 feet from the finish line, so it didn't matter much. But yeah, I think that's a problem that needs to be fixed. And I'm willing to say I'm as guilty as anybody else. Maybe not as some people, but I'm guilty of it. And I will make sure I don't. And even when we did our sim the other day, I made sure to put it down. And I finished my final one and put it down straight in front of me. It was hard and quick, but I also kept my hand on top of it to keep it from going anywhere. So I think as long as you can stop it from becoming a projectile torpedo, you should be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also think that maybe they should put in some form of a penalty for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if
Well, especially, I think, especially at the burpees, where when people are side by side and their heads are down
yeah.
on the ground and the throwing backwards over their head thing is really a hazard. And even for the judges standing around. Yeah. So I think maybe tightening up a little bit with the throwing of the rams and some penalties would be fine. I think someone could get really hurt.
Like if you throw a 5 second penalty in there, people would respect that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I know I would because I mean we're trying to get every second we can. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, throwing it down is well, we've seen it poke holes in walls. I've seen people tripping over them. I nearly got clipped a couple times and just is what it is. So hopefully they'll maybe address that too. But anyway, moving right along. Like I said, I think that's all we wanted to talk about today, right? We're good?
Yes.
Yes. Other than there was Wadapalooza, but I haven't finished watching it all, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit next week.
Okay, yeah. I did see some Canadian content there, so
Yeah, quite a few Canadians down there. That's so that's when they got to catch up on a lot of it. And I think they had the team thing going on too, and I enjoy the team thing.
Mhm.
Despite the fact that coverage isn't as good when they do the teams, I still really like it.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, so we're gonna get to our interview, and we have, speaking of teams, I think when I think about Deka and the word team, these two come to mind because they specifically at Worlds only competed in team and they competed in every distance and they did very, very well. And I watched them through the year. Their times just get better and better, better. They train as a team. Um, and I think that they're showing that if you focus on this, you can, focus as a team, you can maybe do a lot better than you think you could rather than some of the just the super teams. So anyway, um, we all know I'm terrible at introducing people, so we'll go to Marissa Pope and Keaton Billings. So
Oh, sure.
anyway, in case I do a terrible introduction before this, Marissa Pope, Keaton Billings, most well known for coming fourth at the North Carolina Deca Fit co-ed relay.
Oh, we're gonna bring that up.
That
Dude, I
hurt
got
a little
one. I
bit,
got
right?
one bullet. That's all I got. I got one
That was
thing.
a
I'm running with
that
it.
was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
What happened to you on that race?
You looking at me?
Yeah. Oh,
uh, you got us. You got us that day. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
know well, and I will say that you guys had us actually, and Tara drug my ass along for those who don't click in. This is the race where Tara drugged me to a podium. Thank you. And but yeah, that race at the end, you guys had us, and on that last run, I like, and straight out, Marissa, he let you down, man. I don't know what he was doing out there. He shit the bed. It was terrible.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Old,
I
flabby white man passed him on the run. It was terrible.
he was behind me the whole time. I had no idea he was that far behind until we got in the station. And then I looked up and we were looking at each other from the other side. Like he still had a whole turn to come in. So
it wasn't
I
that
just
fun.
thought he was behind
Yeah,
me.
yeah. It looked like it was a rough one. I
Debatable.
think you probably overcooked it on the bike that day, maybe.
I overcooked everything that day. I from the first 500 meters, I was a little was a little hot.
Well, this is an epidemic with the relay. Everybody goes out way too fast.
Yeah,
It's
no,
so
I was a little ambitious on my pacing that day in the beginning. So
Yeah, the worst part of that day,
it came back to bite me later.
the worst part of that day for me was I was sitting beside Kevin Gregory when we started the bike, and we actually had like a 3-4 second lead when we got started. As soon as I started the bike, I'm like, this is just gonna get embarrassing really quickly. And it did. It really did.
He makes everybody look slow on the bike, man.
He
Like
does.
he's
But
insane.
in all seriousness, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys is because you guys are probably the most team for Deca relays out there. You guys seemed really focused and dialed in, and it seemed to me to be one of those situations of, and I really hope I use this phrase right, the total is more than the sum of the parts.
That's
You
fair.
know, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so how'd you guys get started? How'd you guys get going on this and decided to do? Because you really focused on the whole team relay this year. Like you hit every distance. And I mean, if I watch the numbers through the year, it just kept numbers kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. You guys kept getting faster. So how did you come to the decision to let's focus on that relay?
do you want to tell her or do I?
Go ahead, let's go.
I'll tell it. So we had worked out at the X Gym together for a while. Well, not together, but like we both were there. Never really talked to each other. And then one day I was just squatting and he approached me and was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Decapit or High Rocks?" And I was like, "No, not really." He was like, "Well, I'm really trying to go after it and I need a teammate." He was like, "How about you just like, I'll send you some videos, look it over, pick which one, everyone you want to do." So I have not committed, by the way. This was not, I did not commit yet. But I went home, looked at it, and originally I picked High Rocks. And then started watching it a little bit more, and I was like, never mind, never mind. We can do Deca. I think I'm more suited for Deca than High Rocks. So we ended up training. Again, did not take it seriously. Probably majority of our training until right before we went to West Palm the first time. Then we did the first one, and it's just been team oriented since then. We never really, we've done strongs individually and like, yeah, just the strongs individually, but I think we focused on team for the most part full time. So he actually came up with a plan of how we split everything, and it just kind of, he has the strengths that I don't have, and I have the strengths that he doesn't have. So we kind of balance each other out.
So you tell me this. How did you know from the squat rack that she could run like she could?
I'll say first off, that makes me sound like super creepy. Like, like
I know I was trying to bail you
got
out
people
there.
at the squat rack in the corner of the gym, asking if they want to do Deka with me.
Is that
No,
not how it happened though?
no. So it was the dragon boat race. We did a dragon boat race together. You and Justin joined us, and so I didn't really know you that well, but you had talked about running track and playing basketball and doing that type of stuff. Uh, so none of my friends or anybody in the gym at the time would run or do anything like that with me. So I knew I had to go find somebody else that would be interested in doing that. So I just kind of, after talking to you briefly like that, was my in. I was like, all right, she's fast. All right, that's what I'm looking for because I'm slow. So there we go. That's a good start.
Well, I will say,
Kara would agree with that.
I think you caught some people off guard, Marissa. Especially, I remember one moment in the mile when you overtook Alex Walker, and you could definitely see a surprised look on Alex's face. She's like, "Holy crap, this chick can move!" Like I think she had thought she had a dominance on the running level in that thing, and was surprised to see. So
I was kind of surprised myself that I held it that long in a mile
yeah.
on
So
that one.
what was your track background?
So my sister was actually the head coach at my track or at my high school. So I had no choice but to run track. It was a given. So I'm not really a sprinter. I can't, like, I'm fast, but I can't keep up with the sprinters. Not really a middle distance. I was kind of in between. So I ran the 400 and 800 mostly. But I did a lot of the 4x4. So kind of fitting for Deka for the relays. And then I did the 4x8 as well.
Where'd you come from, Keaton? What was your background?
I played baseball. So
I'm
I played
totally seeing the direct correlation.
No. Yeah, so I played baseball all the way through high school, like, so the opposite of running. Like, running was a punishment in baseball, so no running background whatsoever.
No, so you just were in the gym and like, so you introduced her to you. How did you find out about the hybrid racing?
I mean, I'd been doing like various like Spartan races, and I'd done some CrossFit competitions and stuff like before that. Mostly like longer distance, ultra distance type stuff. It's kind of been my bread and butter in the past, at least individually. Um, so when I noticed like the Deka thing, I thought it was kind of cool, like a blend of a couple of things I was already doing. So, and the team event just kind of sounded fun.
Were you like some of us when you first heard about Spartan and everything and obstacle course racing, whatever, you thought it would be a little more strength orientated than what it was?
Yeah, like you see in the promos, like all these like jack dudes like running around, and you go to realize like it's the little skinny guys that are out there winning these races. So I went in pumped up and ready to go and like take some names, and got my ass handed to me quite a few times out there. So, but like I said, like longer distance was always like my thing with Spartan, like the ultra distance stuff or like ultra distance trail running. Like that's always been kind of my thing. Like I've been geared towards doing better there. So Deka was new for sure.
So then you guys started training together, and did you just work out your strategy? Because I mean, obviously the teams, huge amounts of strategy, huge amounts of transition and practice and all this stuff. And this is where I think you guys probably have an advantage over 90% of the teams out there, is that
Yeah.
you guys train a little more together, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I mean all of our training. We train a couple days a week together, so
Yeah. So
definitely helps.
how did you work out your strategy? Like, so you went to that first one, and how'd the first one go off the bat?
The first one we did was horrible. It was pretty bad. I think we also we didn't have half the equipment. I think our run distance was a little further than it was supposed to be. So we were kind of like subbing exercises in and out. Like we didn't have a tank, we didn't have a sled, we didn't have a rower, we didn't have a bike. So we kind of just like simulated guesstimations of time for what it would take to get through a station. I think it took us like 40 minutes to get through one. That first one we ran through.
I was not aware at that point. I was not ready for a decade at that point, so I barely remember it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad first run through of it. It was pretty rough.
Did you look at some of the times and go, shit, we're in a lot of trouble?
Yeah. Well, I looked at it and was like, oh, that's a joke. Like, I can do that in my sleep. You know what I mean? And we go through, we do our first one and just got demolished, here in the gym. So I was humbled quick and realized that we needed to make some changes to be competitive in it.
Dude,
So
I think it happens to everybody. Like I went into my first one and I was looking at the stuff and again, I hadn't touched a lot of the things, but I'm like, okay, minute and a half for this, 2 minutes for this. Let's work it out. And I'm like, yeah, mid 13 should be doable, but let's just say because it's my first time and I don't screw up, I'll do like a sub 15. I was like 16:52. Damn it.
yeah, I remember we did a road show, or I did one here, an individual strong, and I looked at it. I just completely just disregarded the whole thing. Like it looked like a joke. Like when I looked at it the first time. And I remember getting to the farmer carry, and I've never picked up 60-pound dumbbells that were that heavy before, and I've never had an issue farmer carrying anything ever, and wanted to drop 60-pound dumbbells was just so humbling to sit there and do that in this little gym, didn't even think I could finish this little 10-station event when I got to that farmer carry station. It was so bad. So definitely I had to make some changes pretty quick to be competitive there.
Yeah, Marissa, how was your first experience? And if I was to had to guess, you were really happy with the bike?
Oh, so I didn't run an individual until after we ran our first relay in West Palm. So I started real hot and then got to the bike, and there was snot and spit hanging from my mouth by the end of the race. But I got second at that one, but it was a rude awakening for sure. Keaton was actually my judge, and I think if it wasn't for him being there, I probably would have quit way early.
So
I managed.
is the plan the same thing for 2024? You guys going back at it? You got to get back at it and got to get that top podium spot?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. We're gonna go get the co-ed Deka Fit relay record. I think we're gonna take that next year, and then we're gonna take that top spot at World Champs next year for sure. We got everybody else better bring the A game because we're gonna take that next year.
I think there's a little bit of a sour taste in our mouth from 2 finishes at Worlds that were, by seconds. So we have some things we want to prove.
It is starting to come down to that, literally seconds now. Like
Yeah.
every little thing is important. And I find this was something that I learned in the mile, and I'm sure it rings true with you guys too, is it's so important, unlike a lot of races, to get to that zone one quickly in order to get a good position, or you're filtered to the back and you're adding so much more onto your race.
Right. That happened to us in the mile. That was one of my mistakes. Like we didn't come out hot enough to get a good position. Like, I kind of like overlooked that going into zone one. And it definitely put us back by a good 10 seconds just from placement in that first zone there. So
yeah, like Bethany and I
Yeah, Bubbles definitely had the right idea.
Yeah.
Bubbles took out in that mile, and he had the right idea for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's thinking it. He's always thinking it, right?
He had me there. Yeah.
Beth and I went through ours too, like right before we went out, and she's like, we'll hang at the back and save and make sure we don't overdo it. And because of that, she nearly got ran over. Like it was and we got the worst position, the worst stuff, and right on the back. But I mean,
right.
It would have made too much difference. We probably got up one more spot maybe, but it was like it made a difference. It just
For sure.
Definitely to get it there quick. So strategy wise, is anything changing or are you dialed in? What do you think? Did the new tanks affect the way you guys do the tank?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, yes.
So what were you doing and what did you end up doing?
So I think our first one we just kind of alternated, like I push pull, she push pull. We would just alternate lanes, and then we figured out you could actually split the push and the pull. So that's kind of like, we knocked 30 seconds off our tank just from purely doing that. But then I think after just touching the Zybex tanks in the warm-up area for the first time, in Dallas, we realized pretty quick that like it didn't make sense for me to spend a ton of time on it because it was so much easier for her to move it. So she ended up in the fit actually doing 4 out of the 5.
Oh, wow.
That one there. And we were still faster than, what we had done in the past. So with that.
And that would have gave you good rest going into that last run too.
That's what I needed.
Yeah.
We're in Carolina.
For sure. I will say I took it for granted him running off of the tank before, because running off of that tank is definitely way more difficult than I anticipated it would be. your quads feel like they're just filled with sand trying to get around there.
And even if you get that one last push-pull rest in, it makes all the difference
For
in the
sure.
world. Because
Oh yeah,
me and my partner did that this year as opposed to last year, and oh my God, what a difference for me it made! Like on the
it's
last one, so
massive.
much better.
Just that
So much
last
better.
pull, coming off that pull and trying to run, it takes a minute to get my legs back. I don't know what it is about that, just that last little bit that it makes it so hard to run off of. But it's a little different this year, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, well, from my understanding though, they're changing the setting for the women. They're going to go to the 7 instead of the 6, which I
And they
think is
should.
appropriate. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, they definitely should.
Yeah, I definitely. There's no way I should have been running with the tank the way I was running, not at my size.
Oh yeah.
So it definitely it needed to go up for
No,
sure.
and that was the same. Like Bethany did more than usual too, and she was just flying with the thing, and I'm like, you know,
Sit and watch.
well, yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I weigh her by like almost 100 pounds, and I can't push it near as fast.
No, it definitely makes sense for them to switch from like the 7 and 8 or to go there. So, and even just from like a co-ed, like from having to switch in the race, like to eliminate some of those errors from going from an 8 to a 6, it's really easy to push it down to like a 4 or 5 and not even realize it, like you can kind of see that. So it makes a lot of sense. Go to that 7, 8.
So, like I said, going forward, you guys are ready for next year. So next year, how do things like how do the judging standards and stuff hit home with you guys? Like, what is your thoughts on the state of some of that stuff? It's okay. We tell Yancey the truth all the time from here. We shoot straight with him. We're like, yeah, the standards need fixed, and it's from our opinion. So,
I mean, I think just it's a struggle when it comes to fitness racing or hybrid racing in general. Like when you start judging an exercise, there's always that line of like, is it a rep or is it not? Like even if you look into like the CrossFit games, and you got like some of the best of the best and all the money that goes into that, there's still rep issues there, you know what I mean, that like go uncalled. So like I don't know, it needs to be fixed, but I don't know like what you would do to like shore something like that up. I don't have an exact solution for it. But there's definitely some issues in Deka that need to be cleaned up. But I guess again, I don't know exactly how you do that, with some of that stuff. So I don't have an answer
I
there.
think it was a good start. It was a good start to have us do it because we know the standards. But then again, that's a lot to ask of people that are already competing all day, and then you have to come judge, even if it's just an hour. But still, like people don't want to do that. And I feel like if we could find a way to have like a set group of volunteers, especially at the big ones, so like all the fits have like the set group of volunteers that travel, I feel it would be beneficial. But I know that's also not easy to do. So
yeah, yeah, it's like I said, I always go for stuff like that, and I'm great at spending other people's monies with ideas, and you know, but when we brought out to like I said before with the lunges, I think that it's got to go one of two ways. Either one, just let it be a free for all, let jumping lunges go and have at it, or two, and this was a suggestion I made before, put a line on the ground.
Right.
Both feet have to be across that line before the other foot goes back.
Right. Knee touches the ground in the back. Both feet come up and touch that line. I think that's an easier way to fix it. Not worry about hip extension or knee lockout or anything like that. You just go knee ground, back to line. And I hate to say it for the burpees, but I think the burpees got to go full lockout. I mean, I think you just judge extension on those as opposed to
you're gonna take away my
this
point.
forward lean you see everybody do. Like,
I'm with you. The forward lean needs to go away, but I don't know about full lockout because I mean, you said it yourself. We watch CrossFit, and they're way more experienced judging full lockout, and they're still fucking that up.
right? Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's any time you're judging like an exercise for time, I think it becomes difficult to do that. But
I think honestly, it would take one or two no reps to fix the burpees.
I think so too. I think it's an issue with yeah.
But
Is that they need to know that because when Yancey pulled us all out before, was it a strong? I think it was a strong. He pulled us out and like threatened us basically, like we're no repping you, like we're tired of this all weekend, so we are no repping you. I definitely changed how I was doing lunges. I changed how I did other things. So if they were just a little bit stricter, I think they wouldn't have the issues that they have. But they let people slide, and as Yancey and Nelson will say, it's the elites that are the worst at it. So if the elites are doing it and that's trickling down, it's kind of hard to stop it if we're not going to be strict to everybody.
But of course, it's the elites that are doing it. Those are the ones that are scraping for every second, right? You need every advantage you can get, every 1% of energy you can save, every extra tenth of a second you can save.
Right.
That's of course that's why you're going to push that line all the way, and you're going to push it until you get no rep because
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Well, I think one of the issues with like Deka and the judging too right now is that they push like warnings rather than no reps.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to sport, like you shouldn't get a warning. Like you read the rule book, you understand the standards, and if you don't perform that, it should be a no rep from the start. At least on the elite side. I mean, I feel like
Well, I think
if you
anything at World Championships, we all qualified to be there. We all pushed hard to be there, and I think everything was
right,
right.
and we
I
should
think
all
the
know
more
the standards there.
more consistency you are across the board, the better it is. So I say judge the elites hard and judge at World Championships, judge the elite hard, judge the age groupers hard because nobody there is just there because it's their first
Right,
time, right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would like to see that. I just get, and I look at even in my strong in my age group, one burpee could have made the difference of 2, 3 spots.
right. And you saw that a
So
lot at
yeah,
World. Like
so
burpees came down to.
if you get all of us paranoid about getting no repped,
Right.
it'll clean up. I think on the burpees.
I think we just DQ like one person. Like we'll just DQ them as soon as they do one bad rep, and I think everybody will clean up after that. We'll just scare like we'll need one sacrificial lamb to just like
We'll
to
get
go
Rylan
down.
because he's always nice afterwards. So we'll
There you go.
do him for no apparent reason,
We'll
and
DQ him for one, and then everybody be terrified after that.
that's right. He'll take it well, and
We're good after that.
yeah, I mean, he got back at OCRWC, he got DQ'd for having chalk on his hands, and he took that well. So
Right, better than most. Yeah, no.
I know I'd have been pretty pissed off. I think.
Yeah.
So you mentioned High Rocks. Are you guys going to branch out, or you're strictly Deka?
We're going. Yeah, we'll be High Rocks DC. We'll be there.
Nice.
We'll be there. We're gonna hurt some feelings there.
Hopefully not your own.
Yeah, right. Not mine.
So have you guys done High Rocks yet? At all?
No, it's be the first one.
It's you know what it's a good experience. I've done the doubles. It's a lot of fun. It's a great time.
Yeah.
Obviously there's obvious differences between that and Deka, but the atmosphere and the show they put on is
It looks. Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's a different world. It feels
Right.
I'll be straight out. If you're putting just the race itself, I prefer Deka because it's a little more exciting, a little more fast paced.
Mm.
But the atmosphere and the setup for High Rocks is just far and away,
Yeah.
better that way. So.
I'm excited for that one. That's gonna be fun.
He finally got me. I was trying to avoid it for a while, but
You're not going to have an issue. I don't think you're going to have an issue. If you guys set it up right, like the only thing that's really heavy is the the sleds. And I mean, realistically, if you split it up right, you're not going to have a problem whatsoever. Wall balls are just muscular endurance.
Yeah.
Lunges, same deal. It just wears you down. Farmer carry, I mean, obviously you're going to have to do most of it. So it's fine.
Yeah.
But
I'm good there. I'm good.
Yeah. It's good. It's a lot of fun. I did it with my wife. We went and had out in Chicago, and it was fantastic. It was really good. I would think the only advice I would say for your guys' situation is on the sled pull. Keaton, you pull the beginning, and Marissa, you pull the end.
Yeah.
Just because as it gets closer to that line, mass moves mass. And as it gets closer to that line, it gets a lot easier. That gives you, Keaton, a little bit of a rest.
Makes sense. Okay.
So we had to do that on ours and just.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I started it last night, so we're going to try that out.
What's that?
We ran one last night, well, half of one, and I started the pull, so we're going to have to switch that up.
Yeah. I think it worked well. It worked better that way just because, like I said, I mean, you know what it's like when you get close to the end of the rope, it's much easier. You're not pulling the rope, you're not pulling the slack. It's just a way easier pull. So
That's
it's
a good idea.
strict, like I said.
So on those sleds, so I look at a lot of these times that people are pushing and pulling, and we're pushing and pulling in here. What's the big difference? Is it the carpet that High Rocks uses? Is it the type of sled they're using that like makes these times so much slower?
And well, it says it depends because some places are going like gangbusters now. Um, I think that it was a combination of the actual sleds they were using were and the carpets. Once the carpets got worn down for some reason, they were harder to push and pull on. Like
Okay.
we remember back in Miami, like the first one that they brought over here, Corinna Coffin was like 9 minutes.
Yeah, you saw ridiculous
Yeah.
stuff like that. You would see,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think Cole Schwartz in LA one time was 9. Our Bethany, her first one in Chicago, she was like 12 minutes with the pro sled. Like now, granted, she's much smaller, but still, it was like it was a lot of stuff. Now it's much. I think it's become easier. You know,
Yeah. I mean, it
like
seems like it from times, if you're
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
like, yeah,
it's become easier, and I mean, so if you have decent shoes, you're like, I mean, especially you, Keaton, I know you're not gonna have a problem pushing that whatsoever.
yeah,
It's it's a tank or sled, and it's hard, but it's not that bad. I didn't have any issue pushing it. And my wife, who is not a sled pusher by any stretch of the match, she didn't have any issue pushing it either. So you'll be
sweet.
fine. It wasn't. She just said she wouldn't say it was easy, but but it was. And at no point were we stuck. Like you see, sometimes they look stuck.
Right.
We never had any of that. Yeah, just get low, get good grip, and that's all. It'll be. I think it's become much easier than it used to be, and much less intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm excited for that. It's gonna be fun.
not near the limiter that it used to be.
Yeah.
And then, as a little trick, if you see people go up before you, watch whose sled's moving fastest and go for that one.
There you go.
Well, the
Yeah.
carpet can sometimes differ from lane to lane to lane, right? So,
Right.
and I mean, kind of like what you see if you watch CrossFit, some lanes in the shade or whatever, you're seeing some lanes move faster than others.
Right.
Carpet makes that same kind of deal. So if you're watching and you see someone consistently moving quicker,
Good
aim for
idea.
that one.
Yeah.
So, World Championships, you guys ended up with, what was it? It was a second and a third,
Second, third, and fourth. Yeah.
second, third, and fourth. So this year it's at least one first,
1-1-1.
1-1-1 all the way across.
1-1-1
We're all
all the
Yeah.
way through. Yeah.
Who worries you the most?
I mean, obviously, Kevin is just a freak. Everything that he does. And then in a team event like that where he gets a breather and he actually gets to like let loose on a station, I mean that's tough to keep up with. I think like pairs that haven't paired up yet worry me more than what's currently out there. I think like we talked about being able to train and being able to kind of split the workload more than a lot of these teams do. I think that does give us an advantage. So I think the world record, is within reach for us. So I think currently what's out there, I think it's people that haven't teamed up yet worry me more than what's currently out there.
I think the thing is though, when the way they set up the events, especially for Worlds, when it's the fit individual and then the fit relay on the same day, I just don't see too many of those teams like that. You were saying, like for example, a Rylan and a Meg Jacoby.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't see a lot of that happening just because of the way
Right.
it's mapped out.
Yeah.
So it'll be difficult. I would like to see that happen. I would love to see almost, it's impractical, but I'd love to see a separate event as well and see
It would
how
be
that would
it
go.
would be a lot of fun. Yeah. No, I would love to see it. I mean, I would prefer to go up against the best of the best. Like whoever's out there wants to throw down, let's do it. Like whoever that is. So
What do you guys think about the age group teams this year?
I
I
just
mean,
think it's gonna make for a really long day.
We've been having this conversation. I'm looking forward to it because I'm an old bugger and I'm looking forward to the age group thing. But we totally agree. And I think when you can tell me what you think of this. We've been talking. We hope that they maybe instead of having 20 in each division, maybe go 12 to 15 and only one heat, and that across the board.
yeah, because I mean even this year with teams and individuals too. I mean like they didn't fill top 20 in
No.
quite a few places. So like I think that was a bit of a stretch. And to throw in teams like that, I mean, top 20 in age group teams is a lot of people. That's a lot of spots to fill. So, yeah, I think that definitely have to cut it down to like tens if we're doing something like that for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. And like I said, and I also hope they just go single heats. That would make because I mean, it was when I was doing commentating, it was just disappointing because you want to give the second heat attention, but you can't because of the way things are set up, and then they're going at the same time, and you have no idea who's where and doing what.
Right.
A bit rough. So I would like to see everybody in one heat, give everybody the attention they deserve that they worked for, and can go from there. So
Yeah, I
good
agree.
luck. All right, Marissa. So this is something I want to do here. I want to try to set up because this never happened, and we wanted this to happen. A competition between you and Amber doing, but hear me out. You're going to do a Deka strong, but no machines, just the quick stations. I think I want to set that up and see how that goes.
I'm here
That'd be
for
a
it.
good one.
I think it would. I
That'd
think
be a
it
good
would.
one for sure. For sure.
I think you
Yeah,
guys
because
have,
we do. Our strengths are kind of the same little areas, so
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it'd be a good one for sure.
yeah, yeah. The boxes, the sit-ups, the lunges, stuff like that.
I
The
mean,
burpees.
I'll give her the sit-ups. I have learned that I do not appreciate the sit-ups after the strong. He usually does the sit-ups, so I get out of it. But I did them at the strong for the worlds, and I do not appreciate those at all.
They're like my
Not
favorite
my
one.
favorite.
It's
Oh
like
no,
my favorite zone is the sit-ups.
Nice. Yeah.
it's
I
like
get
I don't know. I don't like them.
well. I think it'd be fun. I'm gonna set that up. One day we'll do it. We'll do an online one. We'll get you to go head to head. She would love it. She'd have a blast with it.
I'm down. I'm all for it.
And then we
I
can
love
see
competition if you can't tell.
who will be the runner-up box queen to,
Ah,
the box king down
oh,
there.
The
it's
king.
The king of zone 3. I tried to claim myself the king of zone 11. So, the
I
rolling around
mean,
on the floor and drinking power lift. I thought I would be really good at that, but didn't catch on. That's what it is. Anyway, guys, I really want to thank you for doing this. Is there anybody you want to shout out or anything like that?
no, look at KB online training with the X Gym here. If anybody's looking for hybrid training, OCR, anything like that, I do some online coaching. If anybody in the Myrtle Beach area, we do some one-on-one training, group classes, stuff like that too. So if anybody's in the South Carolina area,
You got to give a little shout out to our X Gym crew because they've been representing. We took what 7 worlds
that was pretty solid.
for our
Yeah,
little gym. That's pretty solid. And what, 4 of us podiums. So right.
yeah,
So
like that.
Not too shabby, not too shabby. And if you
Yeah,
ever want to catch up on all the collegiate women's basketball, just watch Marissa's stuff.
oh, for sure,
go
100%. But
UNC.
not the targets. We don't appreciate the targets.
We got to get you into women's hockey though, because women's hockey up here, they just got a new pro league, so got to get into that. Got a couple
Love
of
the
girls.
basketball.
Uh, it's Canada. We have hockey. You gotta convert.
Eh, eh. I've actually never watched a hockey game, so maybe I need to do that before I make my decision.
Oh,
Even call the game. It's a
yeah,
hockey game.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You definitely should check it out. You should check it out. You should check it out. Have fun. Great.
I'll have
Lots
to
of
do it.
random violence. It's fantastic.
Ah, lovely.
People with sticks
Lovely.
and knives on their feet. You can't go wrong.
Didn't the guy just die from hockey?
Yeah, that doesn't happen a lot. That's like the first. No, like I can think in my life twice where that actual kind of incident happened. Like a skate comes up and clicks somebody's neck. And the first time went way better than that one. That was bad. Yeah, it was something to
I
see.
missed that.
All right. Well,
It's
that doesn't
crazy.
doesn't put much of an ad for it. Great. We've lost all momentum. All right. Well, thank you guys very much, and I appreciate it.
Of
And
course.
when's the next DECA we'll see you at?
Are we doing Knoxville?
I'll be in Knoxville. Yeah, we'll be in Knoxville.
Knoxville. Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. So if you want to see some great team racing and probably the most pure team in DECA, make your way to Knoxville, and hopefully it'll be live streamed too, and we can see it on there. So
Let's go.
thanks, guys. Really appreciate it, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Bye.